Listen carefully. Right now, as you're watching this, money could be leaving your home without you even knowing it. Not through bills, not through expenses, through something far more dangerous. There are 3 common items in your house that, if you've ever donated them, might be creating an invisible leak in your family's financial prosperity. Items so ordinary, you probably never thought twice about giving them away. And the third one? It's going to shock you. Before we go further, if this kind of ancient wisdom is new to you and you want more of this protection in your life, do me a favor. Subscribe to this channel right now, because what I'm about to share with you is knowledge that has protected Jewish families for thousands of years, and most people will never hear it. I'm not talking about superstition. I'm not talking about some modern spiritual trend that showed up yesterday and will be gone tomorrow. I'm talking about laws that have been tested across generations. Laws that, when broken, I've seen cause financial collapse in families that were doing perfectly fine, and when followed, I've seen protect wealth through circumstances that would have destroyed others. The problem is this: we live in a culture that tells you giving is always good. Donate your old things. Share what you don't use. Be generous. And that's beautiful. Generosity is a virtue. But there's something nobody tells you. Certain objects in your home aren't just objects. They're holders. They absorb the energy of your daily life, your work, your efforts to provide for your family. They become saturated with the frequency of your prosperity, and when you give them away, you're not just giving away the physical item, you're transferring a piece of your household's abundance to someone else's home. Now I can already hear what you're thinking. Rabbi, are you telling me I can't donate anything? No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm telling you is this: there are specific categories of items that directly touch your livelihood, that reflect your presence, that absorb your essence. These items create energetic channels in your home, and when you remove them through donation, you create a gap, a leak, and through that leak, prosperity drains away. I've watched this happen more times than I can count. A woman in her late 40s, successful business owner, generous heart, donated a set of cookware to a charity, just pots and pans, right? Common sense says it's a good deed. 4 months later, her business started bleeding clients. Contracts she thought were solid fell through. Money that used to flow easily suddenly felt stuck. She couldn't understand why. When we spoke, I asked her one question: what have you given away from your kitchen recently? She remembered the pots. We'll come back to why that mattered. But first, you need to understand the foundation. In the ancient Jewish tradition, your home isn't just where you sleep. It's the physical structure that houses your family's prosperity. Every room has a function, every object has a role. And the kitchen? The kitchen is the heart of provision. This isn't poetry, it's structure. Think about it. Where is food prepared? Where does the family gather for nourishment? Where do you transform raw ingredients into sustenance? The kitchen. Every pot, every pan, every utensil used to prepare meals absorbs something. Not dirt, not stains, something deeper. The energy of provision, the frequency of I am. Feeding my family. I am sustaining my household. Week after week, month after month, year after year, those objects soak in that vibration. When you donate them, especially if they've been used regularly in your home for years, you're handing over a charged battery of your prosperity to someone else. And here's what most people don't realize: that charge doesn't reset. It doesn't go neutral. It carries your household's abundant signature with it. Now, does this mean those pots will make the recipient rich? No. Energy doesn't work like a magic spell, but it does mean you've created an exit point in your own home. Where abundance used to circulate through those objects, there's now a gap, and nature abhors a vacuum. The woman I mentioned, after we identified what happened, she couldn't get the pots back. They were long gone, but we performed a simple cleansing ritual for her kitchen, re-established the energetic boundaries, and within 2 weeks, new contracts started coming in. 2 weeks. Was it coincidence? Maybe. But in Jewish tradition, we don't put much faith in coincidence when the pattern repeats. Let me be very clear about something. I'm not saying you can never get rid of old cookware. If something is broken, worn out, no longer functional, that's different. The energy has already dissipated. What I'm telling you is this: never donate kitchen items that are still in good condition, that you've used regularly, especially if they've been in your home for more than a year. If you need to get rid of them, here's what you do. Take the item, hold it, thank it for serving your family, Speak out loud. You have fed us well. Your work is complete. Then dispose of it. Don't donate it. I know how that sounds. Rabbi, you want me to throw away perfectly good pots? Yes. If the alternative is creating a prosperity leak in your home, yes. Because what you lose in the months after that donation will cost you far more than the value of a pan. Memorize this. Now let's talk about the second item. And this one is more serious. Mirrors. Not just any mirrors, I'm talking about mirrors that have hung in your home, especially in your bedroom or your main living space, for an extended period. Here's what you need to understand about mirrors. They don't just reflect light. In the spiritual mechanics of a home, they reflect and amplify the energy of the space they're in. That's why in traditional homes, you'll see mirrors positioned very carefully, never directly, facing the bed, never positioned to reflect the front door. There are laws about this, and they exist for a reason. A mirror in your home, especially one that's been there for years, becomes a multiplier of whatever happens in that space. If your bedroom is where you rest, where you dream, where you plan your future, where intimate connection happens between you and your spouse, that mirror is absorbing and amplifying all of it. Now imagine you donate that mirror. You've just handed someone else an object that has been amplifying your personal frequency for years, and you've removed a multiplier from your own space. I knew a man, 53 years old, renovated his home, decided to donate a large mirror that had been in his bedroom for over a decade. Beautiful piece, heavy frame. He felt good about giving it to someone who could use it. 3 months later, he started experiencing something strange. Chronic fatigue, difficulty concentrating. His intimate life with his wife became complicated. No medical explanation. When we traced it back, the timeline matched perfectly with when that mirror left his home. The mirror wasn't making him sick, but it had been a point of energetic stability and reflection in his most personal space. When it was removed and given to another household, it created an imbalance. He couldn't get the mirror back. But once he understood what happened, once he reset the energy of that room with proper intention and replaced the mirror with one that was new to his home, the problem stopped. Stopped completely. Here's the protocol for mirrors. Never donate a mirror that has been in your home for more than 6 months, especially if it's been in a bedroom, a workspace, or any room where significant life happens. If you must get rid of it, cover it with a cloth first, thank it for reflecting your life. Then dispose of it. Don't donate it. I can hear the objection now. But Rabbi, that feels wasteful. Someone could use that mirror. Let me ask you this. What's the value of a mirror compared to the value of your vitality, your focus, your intimate well-being? There is no comparison. Protect what matters. Now, before I tell you the third item, I need you to understand something. What I've shared so far, these aren't suggestions, these are protective laws that have kept families intact through centuries of upheaval. You can choose to follow them or not. That's your freedom. But I've seen what happens when people ignore them. And I've seen what happens when they apply them. The difference is measurable. Now we come to the third item, and I need you to pay very close attention here because this is where most people have unknowingly created the deepest damage. Intimate clothing. I'm talking about undergarments, nightwear, anything that touches your body in your most private moments. And before you think this is about hygiene or modesty, it's not. This is about something far more fundamental. In Jewish mystical tradition, there's an understanding that certain parts of the body are not just physical. They're gateways to your life force, your reproductive organs, your core, your intimate center. These areas are where your creative power, your generative energy, literally resides. Not symbolic, literal. When you wear clothing against these parts of your body, day after day, night after night, that fabric absorbs something profound. It absorbs the signature of your vital essence, your personal force, the energy that creates, that generates, that brings forth life and prosperity. This isn't about the physical garment. It's about what the garment has become after prolonged contact with your body's most potent energy centers. Now, many people donate old clothing. It's considered charitable, kind, generous. But listen to me carefully. When you donate intimate clothing, even if it's clean, even if it's in good condition, you are giving away an object that has been directly connected to your life force for months or years. And here's what happens. That connection doesn't sever cleanly. There's a residual link, a thread. And through that thread, your vital energy can continue to leak toward an object you no longer possess. I'm going to tell you about a woman I counseled, 47 years old. Went through a wardrobe purge, donated bags of clothing, including intimate items she rarely wore anymore. All perfectly good. She felt virtuous about it. 6 months later, she couldn't explain why, but she felt drained, constantly tired. Her husband noticed she had become distant. They went to doctors. Everything came back normal. When she came to me, I asked about major changes in her life. She mentioned the donation. When I asked specifically about intimate clothing, her face changed. I gave away so much, she said. I thought I was doing good. We couldn't retrieve what was gone, but we performed a ritual of energetic severance, a formal cutting of those invisible threads, combined with a blessing. Over new items. Within days, she felt different. Within 2 weeks, her energy returned. Her husband later told me it was like having his wife back. Was it the ritual? Was it psychological? I don't spend time debating mechanism. I care about result. And the result was clear. Here's the law. Never, under any circumstances, donate intimate clothing. Not to charity, not to friends, not to family members. If something no longer fits, if you no longer need it, dispose of it with gratitude. Say always, simple prayer. This has served me. Its work is complete. I release it fully. Then get rid of it. Don't pass it on. I know what you're thinking. But Rabbi, people in need could use these things. The people in need deserve items that aren't carrying someone else's vital signature. They deserve fresh energy, not second-hand life force. Give them money to buy new items. Give them other clothing, but not this. Your vital essence is not charity. Now, if this information is helping you see your home differently, if you're realizing you need to make changes, let me know in the comments. Write prayer if you want me to pray for your household's protection and restoration. And if this channel is bringing you wisdom you're not finding anywhere else, subscribe now so you don't miss what's coming next. Because we're about to go deeper. Let's talk about the fourth category, and this one disturbs people, but it needs to be said. Objects that belonged to deceased people, specifically objects you've inherited or been given after someone has passed away. Here's what you need to understand. When a person dies, their physical body returns to the earth, but the objects they used daily, the objects they touched, the objects they lived with, these items retain an imprint. In Jewish tradition, there's a practice called Geniza. It means respectful storage or burial of sacred items that can no longer be used. We don't throw away prayer books. We don't discard scrolls. We bury them. Why? Because they've been sanctified through use. They carry holiness. The same principle applies in reverse. Objects used by someone who has died carry the energy of completion, of ending, of transition between worlds. This isn't evil. It's not cursed. It's simply not compatible with the energy of ongoing life and growth. When you receive such an object, a piece of furniture, a watch, jewelry, clothing, you're receiving something that was part of someone else's completed journey. And if you're not careful, that frequency of completion can settle into your own life. I'm not talking about family heirlooms that have been properly cleansed and blessed. I'm talking about objects people take home directly after a death and integrate into their lives without any spiritual preparation. I counseled a couple in their early 60s. The wife inherited her mother's bedroom furniture. They moved it directly into their home. Beautiful pieces, solid wood, well-maintained. Within months, the wife developed insomnia, not occasional sleeplessness, severe chronic insomnia. She would lie awake for hours in that bed, feeling restless, agitated, unable to settle. When we spoke, I asked when it started. She traced it back to the furniture. Now, was the furniture causing it, or was her grief manifesting as sleep disturbance? It doesn't matter. What matters is that the furniture carried her mother's energy, and her mother had died after a long illness, in pain, unable to rest. That frequency was now in the bedroom. We performed a cleansing ritual over the furniture. Salt, prayer, specific blessings to honor the memory while clearing the energy of suffering. We declared the furniture's purpose renewed for the living. The insomnia stopped. Here's what you need to know. If you receive objects from someone who has passed, you must cleanse them spiritually before integrating them into your home. And if you cannot cleanse them properly, do not accept them. And you must never, ever donate these objects to someone else without telling them where they came from. Because if you do, you're passing on an energetic burden that person didn't choose and doesn't understand. The rule is simple. Inherited objects from the deceased require cleansing. If you cannot cleanse them, don't keep them, and never donate them without disclosure. Now let's talk about something alive. Plants. You might think plants are harmless, universal. Anyone can benefit from a plant, right? Wrong. A plant that has grown in your home for months or years is not a neutral object. It's a living organism that has literally rooted itself into the energetic foundation of your household. Think about what a plant does. It takes in air from your home. It absorbs water you provide. It exists in the specific frequency of your family's daily life. And most importantly, it roots. Those roots, even if they're in a pot, create an energetic anchor in your space. The plant becomes part of your home's living system. When you give away a plant, especially one that's been with you for a long time, you're not just moving a decoration, you're uprooting something that has become integrated with your household's energy. I knew a woman, 61 years old, passionate gardener, generous soul. She had a jade plant she'd been growing for 15 years. Massive, beautiful. A friend admired it, and she gave it away. She felt good about it. Sharing abundance, right? 3 months later, her business started struggling. Clients stopped calling. Opportunities dried up. She couldn't understand what changed. In Chinese tradition, jade plants are called money trees. In Jewish understanding, a plant that old has become a living anchor of prosperity in the home. When she gave it away, she uprooted 15 years of accumulated growth energy. Could she prove the plant caused the business decline? No, but the timing was exact. And when she started a new jade plant, made a commitment to its care, and performed a blessing over it, things shifted again. Slowly, but they shifted. Here's the protocol. Never donate a living plant that has been in your home for more than 1 year, especially not plants associated with prosperity, like jade, money trees, or any plant you've personally nurtured from small to large. If you must get rid of it, if it's sick or you're moving, replant it outside if possible. Return it to the earth. But don't give it to another household. The roots of your prosperity should not grow in someone else's home. Now we come to the final category, and this is the most serious of all. Sacred objects. I'm talking about items that have been blessed, consecrated, or used in religious practice. Prayer books, rosaries, mezuzahs, crosses, icons, scripture verses, anything that has been dedicated to spiritual connection. In Jewish law, there's a concept called kedusha, holiness. Once an object has been sanctified, it cannot be treated as ordinary. It must be handled with specific care. When you have a sacred object in your home, whether you're actively religious or not, that object serves as a channel, a direct line between your household and the divine source. It's not decoration. It's not culture. It's a functioning spiritual tool. And when you give it away, you're not just moving an object, you're severing or transferring a spiritual connection. I'm going to tell you something that happened to a man I know, 68 years old, lifelong believer, decided to simplify his home. He had multiple mezuzahs, prayer books he'd collected over decades, items from his parents. He donated them to a synagogue. Good intention, noble gesture. But he didn't ask permission from the objects themselves. He didn't perform a release ritual. He just packed them up and gave them away. Within weeks, he felt spiritually hollow. He described it as praying into an empty room. The connection he'd felt for decades, the sense of presence during prayer, it vanished. When he realized what happened, he tried to get the items back, but they'd been distributed, gone. It took months of intensive spiritual work to rebuild what had been lost, and he told me it was never quite the same, because those objects weren't just his property, they were his anchors. Here's the absolute law. Sacred objects that have been in your home, that you or your family have prayed with, that have been part of your spiritual practice, can never be casually donated. If they're damaged beyond use, they must be buried properly according to tradition. If you no longer need them, but they're still functional, they can be given to a religious institution with full awareness and blessing. But you must formally release them. You must pray over them. You must acknowledge what they've carried and thank them for their service. Your spiritual connection is not for sale. It's not for donation. It's not transferable like furniture. Guard it. Now let me bring all of this together, because I need you to understand what's really happening here. We've talked about 6 categories: kitchen utensils, mirrors, intimate clothing, objects from the deceased, plants, sacred items, 6 types of objects that most people donate without a second thought. But here's what connects all of them. They're not just things, they're vessels. Every object I've mentioned shares one quality: prolonged, intimate contact with your life, your provision, your reflection, your vital force, your grief, your growth, your faith. When you give these items away, you're not practicing generosity. You're creating transfers of energy you didn't know were happening. And I need to be very direct with you now. The culture you live in has taught you that letting go is freedom, that detachment is wisdom, that giving everything away is enlightenment. And there's truth in that for certain things. But ancient tradition knows something modern culture has forgotten. Not everything is meant to be given away. Some things are meant to be held, protected, guarded. Your prosperity has physical anchors. Your vitality has material expressions. Your spiritual connection has objects that carry it. When you remove those anchors without understanding what you're doing, you don't become free. You become unmoored. And an unmoored ship doesn't sail better. It drifts. I've watched families drift for years, wondering why money doesn't stick, why energy feels depleted, why prayers feel empty, never realizing they created the problem themselves with donations they thought were virtuous. So let me give you the complete framework now, the simple system that will protect your household going forward. First, recognize what you have. Walk through your home this week. Look at your kitchen. Look at your mirrors. Look at your closets. Look at your plants. Look at your sacred spaces. Ask yourself, which of these objects have been with me for more than a year? Which ones do I use daily? Which ones touch my body, my food, my reflection, my prayers? Make a mental list. You don't need to write it down, just become aware. Second, make a decision. From this day forward, these 6 categories of objects are not available for donation. Period. Kitchen items you've used regularly, not for donation. Mirrors that have hung in your home for months, not for donation. Intimate clothing, never for donation. Objects from deceased loved ones, only with proper disclosure and cleansing. Plants you've nurtured for over a year, not for donation. Sacred. Objects you've prayed with, only with formal release and blessing. This is not negotiable, this is protective law. Third, learn the disposal protocol. If you need to get rid of something from these categories, here's what you do. Take the object in your hands. Look at it. Speak to it out loud. Yes, out loud. Say, you have served this household well. You have fulfilled your purpose. Your work here is complete. I release you with gratitude. May you return to the earth without carrying any connection to this home. Then dispose of it properly. Bury it if it's organic. Throw it away if it's not. But don't donate it. I know this feels strange. I know it feels wasteful. But what you're really doing is severing the energetic link cleanly. You're completing the cycle. You're protecting your household from creating leaks. And the cost of a cooking pot is nothing compared to the cost of a prosperity leak that lasts for months or years. Fourth, handle offers and requests properly. Someone admires your plant. Someone asks if you have extra kitchenware. Someone wants to borrow a mirror. Here's what you say, and you say it without guilt. I appreciate that you like it, but it's not available. You don't need to explain. You don't need to justify. You don't need to teach them what you've learned here unless they're truly open to it. Just a simple, firm boundary. It's not available. If they push, if they call you selfish, if they question your generosity, you hold your ground. Because you understand something they don't. True generosity doesn't come from giving away the foundations of your household. It comes from being strong enough, stable enough, prosperous enough to help others from your overflow, not from your roots. Fifth, cleanse what you've received. If you already have objects in your home from these categories that came from elsewhere, especially from deceased people or from households that experienced hardship, you need to cleanse them. Here's a simple cleansing ritual that works. Take the object outside if possible. If not, open all windows in the room where it is. Prepare a bowl of salt water, real salt, sea salt if you have it. Dip your fingers in the salt water and sprinkle it lightly on the object while saying, I cleanse this object of all previous energy. I clear all connections to its former home. I dedicate it now to this household, for prosperity, for peace, for protection. May it serve only blessing here. Let it sit in sunlight for at least 1 hour if possible. Then bring it back inside and place it where it will live. This takes 5 minutes, but it can save you months or years of unexplained difficulty. Now I know some of you watching this have already donated things from these categories. You're feeling worried, maybe even afraid. Let me speak to that directly. If you donated these items in ignorance, without knowing what you were doing, the damage is not permanent. Energy follows intention. When you didn't know, you weren't intentionally creating harm. The leak exists, but it can be sealed. Here's what you do. Tonight, before you sleep, speak out loud in your home. I call back all energy that left this household through objects I donated in ignorance. I seal all leaks. I restore all boundaries. From this day forward, I protect what is mine to protect. I am grateful for this knowledge. I will honor it. Say it with conviction. Say it like you mean it. Then let it go. Don't obsess over what you gave away. Don't try to track down those objects. Don't live in regret. Just seal the leak and move forward with new understanding. The past is complete. Your protection begins now. And if you're watching this and you need specific prayer for your situation, if you've experienced unexplained financial loss, chronic fatigue, spiritual emptiness, and you're realizing now it might be connected to what you've given away, leave the word prayer in the comments along with your first name. I will pray for you. I will ask for restoration of what was lost and protection of what remains. You're not alone in this, and if this teaching has opened your eyes, if you're seeing your home differently now, if you understand that ancient wisdom exists to protect you, not restrict you, then subscribe to this channel right now, because what I've shared today is just the beginning. There are rituals of prosperity protection I haven't taught yet. There are blessings for your home that create energetic shields. There are prayers that anchor abundance so deeply it cannot be shaken by circumstance. But you need to be here to learn them. So subscribe, stay close, because the families who understand these principles don't just survive difficult times, they thrive through them. While others are wondering why their money disappears, you'll know how to hold it. While others are feeling drained and don't know why, you'll know how to protect your vitality. While others are donating their prosperity away with good intentions, you'll know how to be generous from overflow, not from foundation. This is the difference between ancient wisdom and modern confusion. One protects, the other exposes. You get to choose which path you walk. Now, let me leave you with this final thought. Your home is not just a building, it's a container, a vessel, a sacred space where your family's life unfolds day after day, year after year. Everything in that space either contributes to your household's strength or depletes it. There is no neutral. The objects I've talked about today, kitchen tools, mirrors, intimate clothing, inherited items, plants, sacred objects, these are not random. They're the load-bearing walls of your energetic home. When you remove them carelessly, you weaken the structure. When you protect them wisely, you strengthen it. And a strong household can weather any storm. So be wise, be discerning, be protective, not because you're afraid, but because you understand. You understand that generosity doesn't mean giving away everything. It means knowing what to hold and what to release. You understand that ancient laws exist because they work, because they've been tested across centuries, because they protect what matters. You understand that your household's prosperity, your family's vitality, your spiritual connection, these are not things to be casual about. They are your responsibility. Guard them well. And when someone asks you for something from one of these categories, when they look at you like you're being difficult, when they question your reasons, you don't need to defend yourself. You just smile and say, I'm protecting my household, and that's not negotiable. They'll either understand or they won't. But your protection doesn't depend on their understanding. It depends on your obedience to laws that have kept families strong for thousands of years. So go now. Walk through your home with new eyes. Recognize what you have. Protect what matters. Seal what needs sealing. And know that you're not doing this alone. You're walking in the footsteps of generations who understood these principles and lived by them. You're part of an ancient lineage of wisdom. Honor it. Shalom, my friend. Until next time.